it's the next level.
You have to do it now.
Only if you're by my side.
Wait a sec. Have you ever even seen a game show?
No, but there's a first time for everything. What?
I don't know. You're being delightful. I must owe someone a muffin basket for this personality shift.
Maybe you make me happy.
Well, this is shaping up to be a night.
Hey panelers, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about the third episode of Marvel's What If. And that's entitled, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands? So Steve, take us off with that synopsis that we got.
Synopsis is so ridiculous. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart and not his hands?
That's really what it was?
That's the synopsis. Yeah, that's exactly what I pulled out of IMDb. I didn't look for any other synopsis. I was just like, well, okay. They're just going to restate the title. I guess that's what we're going to do.
Well, it could have been he lost his mind, too.
Yeah, it could have been.
But with that, we'll move right along right into our initial thoughts of the movie. Or show, as it were.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I mean, really dark and depressing. First off,
Yeah.
I watched it 3 times. Is what I ended up watching it just to get the full impact of it. Because man, it was like, I don't want to say it's my favorite one because we're not quite halfway through the series, but man, it was really good. And seeing Doctor Strange in this kind of way, like we've never seen this kind of Doctor Strange before.
No, we have not. And my thoughts, well, I thought it was a sad story and a strange story. Not to coin a phrase. Or not to make fun of it. But I really felt the heartache within Strange when he lost Christine over and over again. To me, that was like so devastating. We never really saw that kind of side of Strange himself. And it was a big twist in the event of what made Stephen Strange into Doctor Strange in that particular universe. Instead of going to the award ceremony alone, he brought Christine at every time within this particular universe. So, which made this so very much different from what we got in the movie. Plus the fact that that the Ancient One had split the timeline within its own universe and made it worse, I think. The duality within it was amazing. You can see all Stephen Strange's and his persistence and to achieve the knowledge like the original movie within this particular episode. I really found that fascinating. I really thought it was well done. Plus we have Uatu, the Watcher himself, somewhat interfering within the episode with not really interfering. Mm-hmm. He gives a little presence and speaks to Strange directly, which is something that House Podcast actually mentioned because they were anticipating that, and now we got something like that. But I don't think the Watcher actually purposely did something. But it was something that they stated would not happen in the beginning of the show, but now we got something where the Watcher was overlooming even more so within this particular universe. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that, we'll move right into our top 5s.
Christine. Oh no. I'm sorry.
Steven? What did you do?
No. I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
I believe it's your turn to go first.
Sure. My number 5, well, the different versions of deaths within the beginning of the episode. All of them are with Christine. But there is one moment when Steven is being driven by Christine. But he lives and she still dies, nonetheless. And what the Ancient One didn't state outrightly is that Steven's fate within that universe to seek out the mystical arts. You know, that he still, you know, seeked them out, but for different reasons in comparison to the other universe that we know. And that, you know, of course, that Christine had to die for that particular universe. I really felt Strange lost his love and would do anything to get her back. And you really feel it within every time she dies. And it's just somebody who's so heartbroken. Whereas within the movie itself, it's all about his hands and recovery and determination, but he always still had Christine in that particular universe, even though they were separated, or he kind of distanced himself, but he still had a fondness and love for her. Very different, and I find that very intriguing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was really that relationship. I think I've got some of it in my discussion points as well to talk about with that whole thing. But because I hadn't watched the movie in quite a while, so I couldn't remember if she was initially with him in the car or not. And so it was good to finally get that confirmation that no, in our universe, or the the Marvel universe, she wasn't with him in the movie. So it made a total different dynamic with him going to learn, you know, the sorcery and stuff. It was a total different reason, and he got to launch into it more quickly because his hands weren't shaking or trembling. So yeah, so really, really good. My first one is just this whole idea of the absolute point in time that the Ancient One talks about. And I had to look it up because I couldn't remember what Doctor Who had called them, but Doctor Who called them fixed points in time. And
they
so
were.
It was kind of interesting and cool to see that we have these moments here in these realities that are that can't be changed. And so it was really cool to see that even in a multiverse where you can have things get changed and new branches be created, it was really cool to see that even in those multiverses there is going to be these absolute points, these fixed points that can't be changed. And it was only for this universe that Christine had to die. But so there could be different, you know, fixed points in time. So it was really cool. And all that quick montage at the beginning, I really loved that we saw all the stuff that happened in the movie. We saw how it compared to what happened, how the events played out in this reality, this kind of the same way. And even the way like he ended up defeating Dormammu was kind of the same way in this reality. Yeah. So that was just the absolute point in time I thought was interesting. And I wonder how long it took the writers to figure that one out. We can't use fixed point in time, so what are we going to do? You know?
I think the Ancient One actually mentioned that at a certain point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering in the writer's room who came up with absolute point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
same here. Who's the person that brought it up going,
yeah,
hold on, we're trembling on Doctor Who right now. Right. Oh, there's so many people with time travel. Yeah. We can't do that. Yeah. I do agree with that. But that's pretty cool, though. You know, it'd be funny. It's like, hey, and they raise their hand. I did it.
Yeah.
My number 4, well, that would be the Eye of Agamotto being used so much for Strange to achieve all the power he needed to bring Christine back to him at certain points. With great power comes great responsibility. So I don't want to keep coining a phrase, but I think that will be brought up in Spider-Man No Way Home at a certain point. Within this, we never see Strange achieve that thought till the end when he truly loses Christine and the universe. The Ancient One kept telling him that over time, but he never listened. And I think a lot of people called the particular evil side of Strange at that point the Supreme Strange.
Yes, that's what the closed captioning showed. It said Strange Supreme, not Supreme Strange. It was Strange Supreme or something. It was weirdly worded in the
it was. Captioning. Yeah, I had my closed captions on too as well, but I found it very odd. Meaning that I'm hoping that we get to see this version of him because the way they ended it, and we'll get into it later, is very ominous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your number 4?
My number 4 is just, again, the animation in this thing was just amazing. And it was, like I said, I watched it 3 times. And for me, there were like 3 standout moments where the animation for me was just incredible. And it was, as he's experiencing each of Christine's deaths, his hair gets a little bit more disheveled.
Yep.
You could see it. His face looks more haggard each time. And even Benedict Cumberbatch, in his voice acting, he portrays the growing frustration that he was getting each time she would die. You know, in that final moment when the Ancient One finally comes to him and tells him about this absolute point, you can hear the anguish in his voice. It was just so incredible. And then when he first meets Obing, is that how you say his name? Obing?
O'Bane or Bing? I don't know.
Anyway, the way the animation had the light kind of coming through his hat, was really just super cool, and I loved it. And then at the end, when again, I did put in my notes, it was Strange Supreme. As he's emerging and he's walking toward Doctor Strange, the shadows behind him kind of twist and change into all the different creatures that he's absorbed. And I just those background touches in the animation are just really, really incredible. I thought
they're impeccable.
Yeah.
My number 3, that would be Strange's obsession to borrow the powers of the beings to gain the power to alter time to his own whim. Mm-hmm. He learns to obtain that power from mystic beings. He pretty much asks them at the very beginning, and then he gets shut down, and then he learns how to, take them from them. But so filled with power that he looks like a demon himself in the end when he tries to save Christine at that very last moment. But that was only for a moment because the universe was basically falling apart due to his own selfish needs.
Yeah.
And it's such a sad and tragic story. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if he learned from it while being enclosed in that prism. Because I think he's still stuck in that universe where it kind of blipped out. Mm-hmm. Where there is no universe, but he's stuck in that prism.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see if that comes up again or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I wonder if Strange gets to see that either in the Multiverse of Madness or in No Way Home. Mm-hmm. Because these are before these particular movies.
Right.
And it'd be interesting to see Cumberbatch actually play that particular character and go against himself.
Yeah.
Very much like we saw with Vision on Vision and WandaVision.
Yeah. So my next one is you talked a little bit about it. Is the Watcher. You ought to getting closer and closer than ever before, really. And we see like it's cool. Like I said, on 3 watches that you see, there's a moment at the very beginning where Strange kind of looks over his shoulder and he kind of feels his presence, but you don't know for sure. Mm-hmm. And then at one point, he gives us this commentary in the middle of the episode where he's just talking about what's happening to Doctor Strange. And then, like you said, there at the end or towards the end, he actually interacts with Strange. And
yes,
just the look of the Watcher was really cool. I know House Podcastic kind of looked at the drawings of him in the 80s comic book are kind of with the big head, and they're kind of
they kind of referenced that too within the Avengers too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw them. Right?
Or Guardians of the Galaxy when they kind of whizzed past Rocket and Rooker's character. They flip by, and then Stanley's giving that, and you see 3 Watchers there with the huge heads.
Yeah, but I liked it because to me it didn't appear creepy. It really was good. It wasn't weird.
No.
So I hope we really get to see some more, or we get to see an actual episode where he does interfere, because we know in the comics he occasionally would actually push a character one way or kind of give him some information to help him out and stuff. So I'd love to see that in this show.
Well, especially within the Fantastic Four, too, because Reed Richards actually interacts with the Watcher a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, with this whole multiverse that's going on, when they do actually introduce the Fantastic Four into the MCU, that they actually have the Council of Reeds at a certain point, because there's going to be a bunch of different Reed Richards from different multiverses. And a lot of them actually do have, at one point, and I'm referencing the Secret Wars from, I'm going to say about between 5 and 7 years ago. They had a Council of Reeds, and 3 of them had the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet on their hands,
Hmm.
which is interesting. So I'm wondering if the Illuminati is going to be eventually introduced into the MCU as well. I know it's a lot to take in, but this is a multiverse. So, and I've already speculated about Secret Wars and that version of Secret Wars playing out to being the penultimate thing that we get at the end, which would be amazing too. And I'm hoping that we do get a Spider-Man in a black costume. And I digress.
Yes.
So we'll move
You're-
into my number 2, which would be the moment that the Ancient One approaches the Good Strange within the universe, telling him that basically she split the timeline within that particular universe. Something that we know from Endgame is that she is completely against any splitting of timelines ever. You know, she basically lectured Banner about it and pushed him out of his body, of the Hulk body, and all you saw is the apparition of Banner himself, Mark Ruffalo. And basically her meddling, I think, made it worse, or just made it factual that it was something that should not have happened, at least, because apparently she created more going on within this particular universe. It you know, we know from Back to the Future, a paradox is a bad thing, and she blatantly points it out, but I think she kind of created that particular paradox.
Interesting.
But that's my thought.
I don't know. This was my number 2 as well. Was kind of this whole the Ancient One when she goes and it took me a couple times to try to figure it out in my head. So she's alive when he has the car crash, and that's where he travels back in time, and he travels back in time from a time where she's not alive to a time where she is alive. And that's when she splits him, and she says that he traveled back in time to visit Cagliostro's library. And that's what O'Bing also says when he dies. He says it's been centuries that Strange has been there. So I can only assume that when she split him, one of the reasons why she had to split him within the same timeline was because she had to have a Doctor Strange in her present to do all the things that he was going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, when he went back in time from the 2-year anniversary, right? And so that's why we see that at the end, like you said, when at the end when he says, "Oh, I will join you," and that's the other Strange at the 2-year anniversary. It's all timey-wimey. It's just so
timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly going on. Yeah, it's typical Doctor Who.
But it was great when I put it all together in my head. I can't really voice it. I'm not verbally expressing it correctly, but when I put it all together in my head, it really was really fascinating story-wise what they did, because like I said, she had to split that timeline, because when he went back in time, she had to split him in half, because when he went back in time, like I said, I'm repeating myself now, she needed a Doctor Strange to do all the things that he was going to do in those 2 years. So
yes.
So that was my number 2.
All right. Yeah, and to add to everybody's confusion, the same paradox kind of thing happened to, if you watch The Time Machine from, I'm going to say 2002 with Guy Pearce. He did the same thing to prevent his girlfriend, fiance, or whatever it was from dying every time. He could never finish it and fix it. And then that's when he forced himself to go into the future. Because he couldn't get to her every time she died.
Right.
And it's such an interesting concept and thought. But if you're into that whole time travel thing, there are movies like The Time Machine, even the original one from, what was it, the 60s, that I love. And you got Time After Time with Christopher Reeve, and there's a whole bunch of them. I highly recommend Wilhelm when they talk about time travel, because it's amazing. And they go into the different ideas and timelines and time, you know, and how time works, the paradox, and changing time, and I think it's really, really cool. So check out Wilhelm. Check out the 2002 Guy Pearce movie, The Time Machine, and I think it's pretty good. I love that one as well as the original 1960s version. But if you got really intrigued with this particular episode about time and how it works, that's one movie. Always, you know, Marvel always, they did it in Endgame. They referenced Back to the Future and how bad it was. And it's like using Back to the Future as a reference point. But, yeah, I kind of digressed again.
That's
but,
okay.
I'll move right along into my number one, which is the meeting of the two Doctor Stranges. So we got Strange Supreme, as as everybody's been calling him and what was put in subtitles, and I call the good one, who tries to convince the, Strange Supreme. The battle was crazy between both of them, and Supreme uses the dark magics to combine themselves together. But the Eye of Agamotto, come on, that was put into play as well.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes something more dangerous with what he destroys, and destroys the universe, and the Watcher tries to explain it to him at the very end. And I thought that was pretty cool for the fact that we got the Watcher intervening, like I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
And then Supreme Strange looks demonic to Christine because, just like you had mentioned before, he had all those apparitions, but he had multiple eyes, a whole bunch of things. He looked kind of demonic at certain points.
Yeah.
Then, basically, the end result, he erases all of reality from that particular universe. And I thought, wow, we see the destruction of a universe in this What If series. And it's pretty much almost like what we learned from Loki at a certain point, too. Because they were pruning people before certain events happen within those particular universes, if you think about it.
Yeah, I still don't understand that whole thing. I've got to watch it again.
And I think they prune themselves at this given point,
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that, I think. That was totally a shocker to me. This was my number one, this fight between, and I love when he explains it to Wong, and Wong kind of says it back to him, and he goes, let's be honest, we've been through Stranger, or we've been through Weirder, I think is actually what he said, not Stranger. He says Weirder. So, and again, the animation and the voice acting of Benedict Cumberbatch is so incredible for him to play those two parts. And there was just enough difference in the voices that you could hear, you could tell it was
the difference.
Mm-hmm. And it was so great. And I love that moment when he says, he's talking about giving in, and the good Strange says, no, your marbles are long gone. So,
oh wow!
He gets those little snipes in there. But I love, it was action packed. At one point, the cloaks fought. At one point, the two different cloaks they had. And then it sacrifices itself for Doctor Strange. I loved Strange Supreme pretending to be Christine, and Doctor Strange basically figuring it out that no, you're not Christine. But it was a total shocker. It was a total surprise when he won. When we should have known that Strange Supreme was going to win, because he's obviously much more powerful than Doctor Strange was. But still, it was a shocker and it was a surprise. And I didn't see the universe coming to an end. I was like, I'm with you there. That's like super dark. And
it is super dark.
Wow, I can't believe Marvel went there. With this show. So it was really, really incredible.
Well, some stories can't be happy, I guess. In this case, it didn't. With that, we should move along right into notes.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got a few here. Do you just want to kind of go back and forth? Because I think some of mine have already been talked about, but I've got some different. Okay. I loved that. Kind of already talked about this, but he lost his heart instead of his hands. But he followed the same path, but like you said, with different intentions. In the movie, when he goes to search out this sorcery stuff, he's wanting to fix his hands. And in this show, he wants to bring back Christine, basically. He's trying to learn sorcery. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. I highly agree with it. It's complete opposite of the character, but still has the same vanity that Strange has about himself. Mm-hmm. In this case, it was more for love instead of love for himself and what he prides himself on, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
First note for me would be the Watcher doesn't state, this is the moment it happens in this episode, just like you stated before. So we never got that again.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that yet. So it's interesting. We'll see if the next episode picks it up again, or if they're just going to drop that whole idea. We talked about the deaths of Christine, but we didn't talk about some of the specific deaths. I loved how there was one where she went where they went to get the pizza at the pizza parlor, but
Yeah.
she still dies. There's one where he stood her up completely and didn't even pick her up, and she still dies. So
In a building explosion or something. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. It's like it was fate. It was like she was fated it to actually die within this particular universe, no matter what.
It's an absolute point, Mark. You can't.
Yep.
You can't change an absolute point.
Yeah. I already mentioned it. The fact that we get the Watcher intervene in some way, he does, and he doesn't by explaining to Strange that Strange will destroy the universe, if he doesn't stop. But it was just him pointing out the obvious, I think.
Mm-hmm. And we've already talked about the next one, so I'm just going to go on to my last one, which is we saw that tentacled creature again. O'Bing calls it a mystic being. It looked like the same creature that Red Skull had tried to bring into the world.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I think that's going to be I think that creature is going to be a running thing throughout the
might be a running gag.
Yeah, or maybe it's going to be a something they're going to have to defeat at some point or fight
or something. Yeah, and it might come into the Multiverse of Madness for all we know.
Could
as trippy hippie as it would be, unlike the original '70s version of Strange that came out. If you ever watched that particular introduction, it was like a 2-hour movie for I think ABC at the time. And they did a Doctor Strange movie in the 70s, and it's interesting to, just a little suggestion out there. If you guys could find it, you could probably find it on YouTube. It's funny because it's got so many 70s themes in it, and I think he has more gold on him than Mr. T.
Okay.
Next one up for me would be O'Bane calling Strange Armani within the episode, and I just loved it for the fact that he goes, "Oh, I'm wearing Armani. Oh, you're Armani." And he just keeps calling him that.
That's all my notes, so you go on with
all
yours.
right, yeah. Well, the next up would be the books that O'Bane protects are dark texts that were seen within the first Doctor Strange movie. Strange himself became his own villain, if you think about it. I'm forgetting the name of the character, and please, listeners, don't hold me to it. I'm forgetting the name of the antagonist in the particular Doctor Strange movie. I think it's Margot Morden or something. He was the one that was using or utilizing those dark texts in books or trying to achieve them.
Yeah.
And that is where Strange or Strange Supreme went. So we don't get that particular character in here. And where is that character? Is that character within that universe, or did he get consumed just like everybody else when the universe collapsed? So are all we left with at the very end, if this Strange Supreme does come into the MCU as Strange Supreme and going against the one that we know in the main MCU timeline, is it just going to be those two, or do we get that antagonist come in some way? That would be interesting. Another one that I have, well, the demons within the episode, something that Disney Plus / Marvel has stayed away from due to other countries' feelings, basically on the element that within these stories, because they don't like in China and certain countries like that where you can't show spirits or ghosts or demons. And they don't like that. I'm surprised they actually did that. I'm wondering if they created an alternate version for those particular, feeds when it comes to those countries. It'd be interesting. If you guys know, let us know. And the last one I would have, I had a feeling of Mephisto within this episode with the way evil, Strange Supreme was transforming, but I'm kind of eliminating that now as I think about it more and more. We've had those thoughts of like, oh, we're gonna have Mephisto. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon anymore.
Yeah, the whole Mephisto thing needs to just.
It's kind of done to death at this point.
Yeah. So, oh, goodness gracious. All right, so we got some quotes?
Yeah. I'll start off with one.
Sure.
And the Watcher states, "One life, one choice, one moment can destroy the entire universe."
Yeah. My first one is O'Bing when he's dying. He says, "Even in our world, death is a part of the plan." And I love that because that was the whole theme of the episode was, right, he's trying to reverse death. He was trying to stop Christine from dying. So
Yeah, and you can't really do that within that particular universe because you're changing all of time at that point within a particular universe. And next one for me would be the Watcher saying, "What if the best intentions created strange consequences?"
Nice. I loved when Wong approaches him about the tea. He says, "I see we switched to the cheap stuff." So
yeah,
obviously Strange has been drinking a lot.
a lot of whiskey. Yeah, I saw that too, and I thought, yeah, Steve needed that one. you changed the cheap stuff, man. Next one up for me would be the Ancient One saying, "You cannot reverse an absolute point." So that was very much emphatic.
And then Strange, when he gets to the library, and meets O'Bing for the first time, he says, "Oh, wonderful, you're cryptic. Please tell me you're not Cogliostro."
And the last one I would have would be the Watcher saying, "I am not a god, and neither are you." And that is to Strange himself.
Yeah, really, really good. My last one is that nice cape, but I draw the line at bugs.
And he steals the cape.
Yeah, have we ever seen that cape before, or is that something new? Is that...
It's kind of a different one, an offshoot from what he normally uses in the real MCU.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a different than his actual cape. So
yeah.
Oh,
all right.
So
well, we had no feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put anything in any news because a lot of people are pretty much speculating. So
yeah.
A lot of it is based upon are we going to see Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire in the next No Way Home trailer?
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about that
A
trailer.
lot of speculation, but nothing new. Shang-Chi has been released, and from what we heard from friends, it's amazing. I have yet to see it. I don't know if I'm able to see it soon, but I will eventually and we will do a review of it.
Absolutely.
When it does come out on digital. So keep that in mind. So right on to podcast recommendations. So Steve, what do you have?
So I've been listening to, and we got it. It was suggested from a friend of ours, actually from our podcast, the Next Level Network founder, Ben Beck. There's a podcast out there called Smartless. It's got Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes on it. And it's another one of these kind of interview shows or conversations where they each pick a different celebrity each week, and they don't tell the other two who the celebrity is, and they bring them in and they discuss and talk about things. So you can just pick an episode. You don't have to listen to them in order or anything. You can just pick an episode. If it's got I listened to the Ryan Reynolds episode and the Darius Rucker episode that were really, really good. So,
oh, cool. Darius Rucker? Really?
Yeah, Darius. They did Darius Rucker, but one of them had some sort of connection to him, and told some really good stories, things that I did not know about, like why Hootie and the Blowfish broke up and that kind of stuff. I didn't realize that it was just basically the drummer decided he didn't want to do it anymore. He was getting married, or he had married somebody's ex-wife, and he didn't want to be in the band anymore. And they had decided at the beginning that if any one of them left, they would all just they wouldn't bring somebody in to replace any band members. That the band would just then go their separate ways if any one decided to leave. So
that's pretty
what
cool.
they did. Yeah,
awesome. Well, I have two. That would be Wilhelm on the Next Level Podcast Network with Ben Beck, and you could listen to the most recent episode with Mr. Steve Brown.
Yes.
You guys discuss war movies, and it's pretty cool. And next one up for me would be Run for Your Lives with Daphne and Paige, and that can be found on the on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. And you could hear them, and they achieved the 50th episode, and I just got to listen to that, and I thought, they reflect on the last 25 episodes that they did.
Every 25 they kind of do seasons,
a retrospective of what they have done and what their favorite podcasts were about and their favorite movies that they covered. So check that out, and that can be found on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. So check out Run for Your Lives.
Nice.
And YouTube recommendations for me, well, obviously the Grim Life Collective. Michael and Jessica are continually doing their graveyard romps, and they're going to grave sites of celebrities. So check them out on the Grim Life Collective on YouTube, as well as that would be Sean Clark, and he does Hollywood Hallowed Grounds as well as Horrors Hallowed Grounds. So check that out, and you could find that on Malfunction. That's Mal, M-A-L, Funk, and that's F-U-N-C-S-E-A-N. And you can find that on YouTube. So check him out. He has been doing a lot of movie sites. And, you know, I love Sean, but he's very investigative and gets all the really cool stuff. So check them out.
Very cool.
All right.
So we can be heard on Spotify, Google Play, all of your normal Apple podcasts, all of your podcasts, whatever podcast player of choice you have. Just search for us, Panels to Pixels Podcast. We're out there, and we would love for you to subscribe to us on those whatever. I don't know why I can't say this week. Just find us. We're out there.
Just find us. We're on pretty much every podcast player of choice. I found us on Stitcher, so we're officially on Stitcher.
Nice.
So I've been listening to us back on that. You can find us on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know, Ben's been working really hard on that stuff, and we have to thank him for that, because he's putting us out there, and we're grateful to be on the Next Level Podcast Network as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We also have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/panels2pixels. We have an email address, which you can always record a voicemail or send us an email at panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2pixels1, the TO spelled out right in the middle, and the number 1 at gmail.com. We also have a YouTube channel, which is Panels to Pixels Podcast. So go out there, subscribe to us, and give us a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. And next week, well, the next episode of What If, well, we don't know what if it is.
I don't want to give anything away. I did find a trailer for it, I guess, that they put out. It looks like it's going to be bonkers. It looks like it's going to be good.
Oh, cool.
So
I can't wait to do that.
I don't want to spoil anything by saying what I saw in this trailer. So
all right, cool. Well, where can listeners hear us other than here? Well, I could be heard on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on the Pyrocar Entertainment Network, and we cover action films, adventure films, and suspense films. So basically anything that gets your adrenaline going. Next up will probably be Atomic Blonde. So I'm going to be editing that. You'll probably hear that within the next week or so. I'm trying to separate them because of my transition. So I just want to let you listeners know right now I'm in the midst of moving out of a house, moving into some friend's house to live for a while, and then move into a place more permanently. So it's going to take some time. So Steve might have some future guests. Right now, I think I have a couple of weeks. So at least, you know, you'll have me for a couple of weeks, and then maybe there'll be a couple of weeks where Steve has a guest come on.
Yeah.
And then he'll be taking the reins. So keep that in mind. I'm doing well. I'm working. I'm still doing what I have to do. But we just want to give you the content that you deserve and listen to us weekly, as we should. So Steve will be taking up the helm after I have to vacate, as it were.
Just be a short time. You'll
be a short time.
With me. I can be heard. I send voicemails to various podcasts that our friends do, so you'll hear my voice on different podcasts. Strange Indeed, Run for Your Lives, all those kind of podcasts that are out there. House Podcastica, TV Podcast Industries, all those out there. I send voicemails to them when I can, and of course, Mark already mentioned that the episode I did with Ben on Wilhelm is up, and you can hear that on War Movies.
And what do you mean, deal with you? Come on. You're going to do fine. You'll be fine. Okay. You don't need me. Basically, you know, it'll be fun. And you guys will have other voices other than me and me stuttering. So it'll be fun. You'll guys have a different perspective and our friends being on. And it'll be great. So enjoy, and like I stated before, we're looking to give you the content you deserve. So I just want to thank everyone for listening. I am Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.